Yes, good afternoon. My name is Trevor Gain. I'm the agent on behalf here for the owners. No problem. The application before you is to construct a second floor over top of the existing one-story building. As you mentioned, the property is located at the corner of two public lanes directly behind St. Irene's Greek Orthodox Church and the rear yards of 795 to 797 CARLAW. This property is owned by the Greek Community Association of Toronto, and the current uses that they have within it have been in existence since 1978. They've been using this building for their Sunday school practices and Greek learning skills, and they're just at a point now where they're just needing more space and the building needs to be renovated, so we're looking to expand the second floor. Basically, the building is occupied, like I said, Sunday school, so Sunday mornings, Sunday afternoons. They also do Greek language lessons for students, which would happen on Saturday mornings, and maybe periodically a few evenings of the week, depending on the schedules and the enrollment. So the application requires 9 minor variances, 4 of which are setbacks. These are just a direct result of the non-conforming building and lot that we have. They're all side yard setbacks because it doesn't front a street, so there's no front yard, no backyard. And the setbacks are existing, and we're just going straight up. Floor area is another variance. Again, we have a small non-conforming lot, and just going straight up, it just doubles our floor area. The existing floor area as it stands right now is 70% of the lot. Other variances include building type, building use. This is a residential zone, so any sort of non-residential use is not an allowed use. This is not an unheard of variance in front of the panel. This is very similar to if there happened to be a convenience store at the end of a street. Retail is not an approved use, so something similar to that. Parking is the last variance. The building pretty much occupies almost the entire site, so there's no opportunity to provide any additional parking. However, I will mention that this addition does not generate any additional parking. Right now, the churchgoers park in a green pea, they walk to church, and they just walk their kids across the lane and into the building when they're at service to attend Sunday school. So if I can get the photographs up on the page, I'll just kind of point to basically what I just spoke about. Page 1, photographs A and B, that's the existing building on the lanes looking in each direction. If I can switch to page 2 of the photographs, D and E, again, in both directions of the lane, you can see the building there. And photograph F, this is the back of St. Irene's Greek Orthodox Church. The blue doors are where the patrons come out of the church, they walk across the lane and into the building. So just to give you a sense of reference on how close that is, on photograph F, you see the blue doors, you see a window to the left. If you look at photograph E directly above it, there's the strip of windows down the right side of the photograph. That's the same window. So it's like, 6 steps across the lane, and then they enter into that building, and they drop the kids off, and then the parents go back into the Sunday services. So the last page, page 3 of the photographs, I just like to point out photograph I. This is the existing inside of this building. As you can see, it's tables and chairs. It's set up for students to sit at the table, to do their work, to have their snacks, etc. So it's very tight, very cramped, and they're just looking to expand with the second floor that they can open the space up, have better learning spaces upstairs, have some washrooms, make the building more handicap accessible, etc., and continue with that. So given the non-conforming use, this was subject to an extensive pre-circulation review with city planning. We worked very hard with them. We all recognized the legal non-conforming status of this property and building. So we worked together to try and balance basically what the owners tried to achieve with this building, and at the same time try to mitigate any negative effects of the neighboring properties. So for example, this property is its own individual property, so it has the same zoning standards of any house in the immediate area, including height. So this building has an allowable height of 10 meters, which is why there's no height variance in front of you. we recognize that, and what we did is we just came, our proposed height of this building is 6.68 meters to the top of a parapet, 6.59 to the roof. So again, not excessive, just trying to get a minimum ceiling height directly on top of the existing structure. And together with that, we introduced an angular plane along the west side of the property. If we can flip back to the site plan, you can see where this angular plane is. So you can see the dotted line along the west side of the building, which is to the left of the drawing, and the word sloping roof. That's the angular plane. And what that allows, obviously, is comes part of the laneway bylaw, is that as the sun comes up in the east and comes across the sky, this will help to eliminate any new shadowing that will spread across the neighboring properties. And then, of course, around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, then the shadows are directly over top. So we did that. That was no problem. This angular plane, yep, no problem. So the angular plane helps to mitigate this, and then just basically everything I said, we worked with planning, and based on the non-conforming use, we feel that everything is minor in nature, and we seek your approval.
Hello? Hi. Certainly. My name's Diane Moncrief, and I'm the resident and owner of 797 CARLAW Avenue. Okay, thank you for this. In addition to the written documentation I already forwarded, outlining my opposition, I just wanted to add a couple of other points and summaries. The first being that the attached neighbors to me at 795, 799, and 801 CARLAW that abut that property are all owned by one person who does not reside here. So it is the tenants of those buildings that would be most impacted by this, not the owner. And I just wanted to point out that they don't have a voice in this proceeding. It doesn't mean that they don't have an impact on this. So my main reasons for my opposition against this is that I don't believe these variances to be minor at all. As the previous speaker mentioned, the current building is already non-compliant in terms of these setbacks and the building size, and it's certainly not residential. Adding a second story to that merely exacerbates that problem. And in fact, the building is situated on a lot that makes it much more akin to an ancillary building, such as a garage would be within a residential zone, where there are height restrictions of 4 meters and restrictions on second stories being added to those buildings. And because it is located so close to the backyard of me and my neighbors, and our backyards are quite small as a result of it sitting in that unusual location, it will literally dwarf our backyards and block out significantly the views, which are already limited to begin with, as well as the sunlight. I understand he's commenting on the sloped roof. However, the backyard from my back door to the wall of that building is only about 30 feet, which will make that literally the thing I'm staring right at outside my door. So I believe that that is very significant, and it exceeds its maximum allowed space by over 2 times for the floor space ratio. So that is my main concern. Additionally, adding more flow of students in this laneway area, it's a T intersection that's quite frankly a blind intersection used by cars, delivery vehicles, and other pedestrians at all hours. And there's nowhere for the students to flow other than out into that space. And I think it's unsafe to add more people and children flowing in and out of that area. Additionally, this is a residential area, and this proposal is not creating new housing. It is not serving that purpose. All it's doing is diminishing the livability for the existing residents and properties that are there. And that is not the intent of a residentially zoned area. My final point would just be that I don't believe that this adheres to the policies of Toronto's official plan for the land designation use within this area, which would be neighborhood or mixed use. But within that, any sort of a school environment is required to have open space for outdoor student activities and landscaping and so on, of which this lot essentially has none because, as we see, it does occupy almost the entire lot. So all of these factors combined, I believe that this should not at all be approved to move forward because it will create a negative and lasting impact. You can't go back. The building that is there is already too large for its footprint, and adding a second story just makes that worse. So I believe that the impact will be very negative for the surrounding residential properties and residents and users of that laneway on which it's situated. And those are the points I would like to make. Thank you for your time.
I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, my name's Neil Jones. I reside at 811A CARLAW Avenue, just a few doors north of here. I've lived on the lane for about 20 years in 2 different residences. This lane is really tight, especially down at the T. It doesn't show on any of these drawings that this is a dead end. And so our only way in and out is right past this building. We either have to turn left or right. A lot of times one of the lanes is blocked. I.e. right now it's blocked by the City of Toronto, has been for a month, while they work on a sewer. So we can only get around one way. As the last lady spoke about, my main concern obviously is people walking down there and through that area, unescorted, getting them into the building, out of the building. I'm not sure if the intent is only on Sundays or if it's evenings or if it's weekdays. That was never made clear. But how the kids get in and out, it's already blind corners as you're coming around there. The traffic is one way, either way. You have to back up or find somewhere else to get around if you want to get into there. Like I said, I believe there's 50 houses north of there that use this to get in and out. For example, I have 2 cars, so that's plus that coming in and out. I'm not sure if this is the place to bring up, but also I didn't see anything about a construction plan, the methodology or the staging. How would they stage on this property, considering it's already at its maximum limits? There's nothing around it really to do anything except maybe on the east side, which is so small, you can see from the pictures they showed, that a car can't even fit on there. So if they're doing demolition with dumpsters, again, limiting our access to be able to get in during a construction phase. And so really, I think they should have a pedestrian plan and a construction plan, which I haven't seen brought forward. And obviously, if they do move ahead, we'd be looking for communication from them on how this is going to proceed. And that's really all I had to say.
Yes, thank you. I will start off to mention that we did go through the neighborhood. I think there's a petition of support in the file of about 36. Yes, I can. Yep. There is a petition, a support petition in the file, which you didn't mention, but it should be there. 2 pages, including the tenants at the 795 and 799 CARLAW. I will mention again that this is not a garage. This is not an accessory structure. This is a private. Yeah, I have it right in front of me. So hopefully, is that better? I'm trying to turn up the volume. Hello? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, but I don't know if it's working. Is that better? I'll talk really loud. I'll try and talk really loud if that helps. So I'll start again. We do have the petition of support. Okay. Yeah. So this is not a garage. We're not subject to accessory structures of the 4 meters. And even if we were, the new laneway bylaw does talk about additional height for those type of projects. And that was sort of what we mimicked our design off of and worked with planning on to try and keep it to the 6-meter mark as best we can, which is sort of an allowable height for a residential laneway dwelling. And thus, that's where we got our height from. This is not a school, in quotations, where there's a congregation of kids that are at school for 8 hours with lunch and recess. This is really just Sunday school that would happen on Sundays for a couple hours, and any international language program, which typically happens on Saturday mornings and maybe 1 or 2 evenings of the week. So there's no recess for these type of programs. Generally, the parents would walk their kids. They're mainly elementary school kids. They get walked into the building from the church. They spend a couple hours. They might have a snack, and then they get picked up at the end of a couple hour or an hour and a half, and then they're walked back. So there's no congregation in the lane. There's no excessive people coming to the lane. Whatever has been happening since 1978 is going to continue. This was approved under Committee of Adjustment hearing back in that time. That approval lapsed, and thus we have the non-conforming use again. So the congregation is the congregation. The building is used. There's no influx of students or influx of the lane. There's green pea parking. There's a parkette directly north that people can walk into. So I don't see the danger other than maybe what's been happening, for the last 40-some years. Yeah, this is not a residential building, as our neighbor mentioned. This is a commercial building. It's an existing commercial building use associated with the Greek Orthodox Church at St. Irene's, and it's not providing more housing, but it's providing a need for the community, as shown in the support partition. So, and I think that covers both objection letters about the unescorted kids. Any parent is going to walk their child there, and like I said, most of the time it comes from the back doors of the church, across the lane and into the building. They're not hanging out in the laneway. I can talk about the construction plan, but I don't think that's before the committee. I can just mention, we will just build as per the bylaws and work with right-of-way management as far as staging and get the necessary permits and making sure that the lane is accessible at all times. No, typically it's Sunday school, obviously Sunday mornings, and my own kids go to an international language program, and that's Saturday mornings. And if the kids are involved in some sort of sports where they can't attend Saturday mornings, then sometimes they offer like a Tuesday, Thursday evening for an hour, maybe around 6 to 7, and that's it. So it's not occupied on a full-time basis like a regular school, 8 hours a day. It's selected programs.
Sorry, can you hear me now? As I understand it, the building is in use Saturday and Sunday and maybe 1 or 2 evenings. The rest of the time it's not used at all?
It's not used for students. The church may come in there. They had their offices in there at once upon a time, but it's not occupied on a regular basis, continual basis all day long. You are correct.
And could you tell me roughly how many people are accommodated in the building as it now exists, and how many would be accommodated if you got the approval to put the second floor addition on? So like how many people are we talking about in the area?
We have a maximum occupant load of 43 people. That's including students and a handful of, so 48 people, sorry, is the maximum occupant load for students. And that includes a couple teachers. So the existing building is right around there. If you do the chair count in that photograph I said it's right around 47 seats. And it just varies from there depending on who comes to school, when and where. So there's not a huge influx in occupancy in this building. It's just a better use of the space. By putting the second floor on.
How many more than 47 will the addition accommodate? So if it's 47 now, what would it be if the addition took place?
Our second floor is accommodating 48 students.
So it's about 90 then in total, if it were full.
Well, the ground floor is going to be used as accessory to the upper floor, so we're allowing for 48 students, and then if you look at the plans, the upper it has kind of like learning cubbies and spaces, and then at any given time they can come downstairs. They would have craft tables, and they have an open area that they can learn Greek dance lessons. So we're not looking at 90 students. Right now it's pretty much the current occupancy of about 40 some students, and it's just like I said, a better use of space, more space for them to have craft tables and then snack tables and have a dancing area, have learning areas, compared to all being crammed into that little space right now where there's tables and chairs as per the photograph.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make some comments on this one. Initially, reading the application, I had, I guess, some concerns about the use, but the fact that the use has been in place since 1978, and we've heard that although they're increasing the size of the space, they're not increasing the amount of students. And I wasn't sure how often the students attended. So this clearly isn't like what we see with the daycare use, where you immediately would be like, where's drop off and pickup going to happen? How are the kids getting in and out of the facility? To me, it seems like it's a limited use, and it is for a religious education use. So it can't be used for daycare in the future. And I think great efforts have been made by the church to come up with a plan and a building, as Mr. Gain described, that fits more with a laneway suite. So I personally don't think the impact will be as great in the circumstances. And we heard that they can, in fact, they're not seeking a height variance, which actually surprised me. I guess I knew that when I read it, but it didn't occur to me until Mr. Gain pointed it out. So I'm in favor of the use of the variance myself, but that's just my opinion on it. I don't know what my colleagues think.
Yeah, I agree, Lisa. I think the applicant has made good efforts to minimize any impacts on the neighbors. I think the slope roof in particular, and just going with the spirit of the laneway suite bylaw, and that gives me some comfort. And also, there is a significant distance from the houses to the west, I think 12 meters or something. So I think it's not going to make those situations significantly poorer. And I mean, it's an admirable use that is going to expand, but to better serve its population. So I'm supportive as well.
I could also speak to it. I'm supportive of the use, and I don't have any concerns with the physical relationship between the proposal and the adjacent uses. I think the sloped roof was a good gesture, and I think it works. I don't see it being completely out of context. The one concern I have that was raised repeatedly is safety. I don't see a solution to that. I don't think that the proposal is going to make the safety issue any worse than it currently is. It seems to me from the submissions that the children, who would be the biggest concern for me, are monitored. Somebody takes them across the lane, which aids in keeping them safe. So on that basis, I'm supportive of the application as well.
Sure, I'm happy to bring forward a motion for approval for the reasons that were stated, subject to the conditions set out in the planning memo.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members. Ida Evangelista on behalf of the owners of 175 Grace.
No. No. Madam Chairman, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're breaking up. I gathered you said you were in support of the application. Is that correct? Yeah, yeah. I would agree with those positions, and I support the application. I think it's a reasonable and appropriate use of the land.
Agreed. Agreed here as well. And I think looking at the variances themselves, they're very small, marginal in many cases. So for the reasons that have been stated, I'm happy to move approval of this with no conditions.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon, dear committee members. My name is Murat Özgür, and I am the applicant for 57 ELDON Avenue. I read it, and just to let you know about that, 70 ELDON Avenue has a Committee of Adjustment approval on May 17, 2018, and they got a coverage of 47.34%. And also 61 ELDON Avenue, they got an FSI for 0.88 on June 25, 2014. And also there is like another one very close to that area, which is like 6 streets northwest. It's 133 Dawes Road. They got an FSI for 0.91 on 12 December 2018. And also another street, which is in the same neighborhood, 22 Bryant Avenue. They have a coverage of 53.31 on June 19, 2013. And 24 Bryant Avenue, they got a coverage of 46% and an FSI of 1.04 on February 6, 2013. So why I am saying this is this neighborhood has been developing since 2013, and they were having the same type of coverage and FSIs. So it's not a big house or a monster house. And also, if I say about the dimensions of the house is we have the house, the width of the house is 5 point, let me just look at my notes. Yes, the house is, the width is 5.5 meters and the length is 15.82. So these are not, the length is not a variance. And if I say like that, because it's a 2.5 story, if you have a chance to look at the front elevation, you can see that it is 2.5 story. And if I say like this, the first floor is all 80 square meters, and the second floor is again 80 square meters, and the attic is 49. So if we not consider about the attic, this house has a coverage of 33% because the garage, in the coverage of the calculation, they calculate the garage as well. But if I only say the house is a coverage of 33%. And if I look with the FSI, then the first floor and the second floor is like 66%. And the attic is about 25%. That's why we are asking 91, because of the attic space. No, no. The parking is, they have an existing car park at the back, and it is already there. And regarding the shading, I mean, the backyard is almost like 19 meters. So, from the back of the house to the back of the lot, it's about 19 meters. So it's fairly quite a good number for shades or sunlight.
I just wanted you to speak to the height issue. I
Yes.
noticed there was another house on the street. I think it's number 61.
Exactly. Exactly.
Did that one get a variance as well? Because it looks rather hot. It looks rather tall, to be honest. So I just wanted to know how your house is going to compare to the one that's existing. Because a lot of the houses are 1.5 story houses, 2-story houses, and you're requesting a 3-story house.
Yes. 61 Eldon Avenue is exactly like the one that we are building. They got an approval on June 25th, and they got the height is 9 meters. They are approved. Ours is, we are asking 9.2, I guess, right? Let's see.
No, 9.
Yes. 9 meters, yes. So same, we are asking the same variance as they got approved before. No. I just before I designed the house, I just get the from the Committee of Adjustment you can get the previous, yes, and according to that we go over with these numbers, and there are some additions in that area that are almost the same. Like I say, because of the flat roof issue, it's looks like a 2-story, but normally it's like a 2.5 story. Yeah, from the front view you can see.
Madam Chairman, I have a concern with the height. The fact that number 61 exists doesn't necessarily mean it was right. Decisions get made in error, and I think if you look at the streetscape, 61 was, in my view, a decision in error. It is a very disruptive looking house, given the context in which it finds itself. I think it's an unfortunate building on the street. To hear that this is going to mimic it, which is what I had assumed from the submission, is troublesome. I will acknowledge that the applicant has tried by introducing a sloped or a partial sloped roof area on the 3rd floor to try and mitigate the height somewhat, but I don't think it's overly successful. I'm unable to support the application. I think it's completely out of character with the area because of the height.
I will. I'm supportive of the application. I think looking at it, especially initially, yeah, it looked large, and it is a bigger house than many on the street. But my main concern wasn't so much the height, but the depth. But I think that there is a pattern of that depth being secured on that street. I think it is, we often see this in these types of neighborhoods, an area in transition and a lot of smaller houses being rebuilt larger. I think this is a bit of a mixed street in that you have different typologies up and down, and I don't think that this third floor would really negatively impact the street, so I'd be supportive of it.
I have to tell you, I find this one a difficult application, to be honest, simply because of the height. But I think we've got one that's already standing, and I do think this is an area in transition. If there wasn't already that precedent on the street, I would probably not be as supportive of this, but I think that we've already got a trend happening. So given that there's a house that's there and they're proposing to build something that's basically very similar, I'm in support of the application.
Sure, I'll move a motion to approve the application subject to urban forestry condition 2.
I'll second it.
I am.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. My name is Stephanie Yao. I'm the architect and agent representing the owners of 6 Mackenzie.
No.
No.
Madam Chairman, I think this is a very sensitive solution to the site. I have absolutely no difficulty with it. I can't see that it will impose any negative impacts on the community. In fact, I think it will be an asset to the community. I would like to move approval with no conditions.
Yes, hi again. It's Trevor Gain here on behalf of the owners.
Madam Chair, this is a very straightforward one in my view. I would like to bring a motion for approval of the application. We're simply seeing a second story being added to this building. There's no height variance requested. The parking space variance is an existing condition. So I don't see there being any impact with this proposal. And I think it fits well within what is currently happening on either side of it. So the motion that I'm bringing forward is for approval without any conditions.
Lauren Rose, I'm the architect. Sure. I'd like to be short, Madam Chair, committee members. Although there are no objections from Planning, Heritage, North Rosedale Ratepayers Association, the Councillor's Office, and we had started consultation back in May with all of these parties. The file was also pre-circulated on September 14th. The neighbors have requested a deferral for more consultation. We are in agreement to do such. We do request, if the committee grants it, that we look at a date in January, which will provide us plenty of time for the consultation that has to take place. Legal counsel for many of the neighbors is on the line as well, who can speak to this, if you will. So first, we'd like to request a deferral. Yes. Madam Chair, we believe there will not be any substantial changes, perhaps lowering of variances. No new variances will be sought. And yeah. We believe there will be some compromises, perhaps to height, which seems to be a big issue. And we just feel that with the consultation we've had, the neighbors have really, really stressed it would be beneficial to have a deferral. We're not originally planning to do it, but we think it's the right thing to do. Given that it's not open-ended, the committee has the ability to make sure that it could be held sometime in January. And that wouldn't be too much of a problem. I can't hear. Correct. Okay. I think we've given our word to the neighbors and to the councillor that we've agreed to this deferral on the neighbors' requests. So I don't know if you want to let the opposing council speak to that at first. Yes, there could be. Yes, there could be. Sure.
Madam Chairman, I'm inclined to agree with the comment that you made that it's been out in the community for a long time, and I'm surprised that there are still issues that could be resolved that haven't been resolved. I'm reluctant to recommend a deferral unless there is some major changes that are likely to result from that deferral. If not, I think we're better to proceed today with what we've got in front of us.
I think typically I'm not supportive of deferrals myself, especially given the tight timelines or the large wait time there is for hearing dates. But we have quite a few people who are opposed to this application, and we've got an applicant who's willing to maybe make some concessions that maybe would make the neighbors happy, or at least come closer together in terms of what this application could look like. So I think in this case, I would be supportive of a deferral, given that there are so many people opposed to this application. So if they could work something out, that would be, I think, ideal.
Yeah, I tend to agree, I think, with Lisa on this, that I think there are probably some small wins that at least could satisfy some of the opposition. It might be worth hearing from some of the opposition to see where they stand on this.
Muted, but I am here. I'm muted. I know that Mr. Bronskill and Amber Stewart are on the line. They're the ones who've asked us for the deferral. Yes, Daniel Artenossi is a lawyer. He's written to the committee on a few matters, and he's helped broker this idea of deferring once to. We do believe that we can resolve this matter. Certainly with the neighbors who are close. There are many neighbors here. There are many letters that are cut and pasted here, and people who don't live anywhere close to this house who have submitted. But we do believe in being good neighbors and speaking with them to shed a little more light on making this more palatable for everyone.
Madam Chair, I'm now unmuted. Can you hear me? Yes, we're extremely supportive of the deferral. I don't want to get too much into it, Madam Chair, but I think there is a disagreement perhaps between the individual landowners and the applicant about the degree of consultation. That consultation may have occurred with staff and the resident association, but I think there's a disagreement about consultation with individual landowners. That's highlighted in Ms. Stewart's letter, and I would share her view. So I don't want to leave the committee with the impression that there's been extensive consultation and now you've got these lines of opposition drawn on both sides. I think there's been some consultation, perhaps with staff and the resident association, but not enough consultation with individual landowners. We are very delighted that the applicant, through both Mr. Rose and their lawyer, agreed to the deferral to see whether we could narrow issues and find common ground, and that's why I think it's appreciative, and I think that's the consultation that needs to occur, and we're very appreciative that they've come forward to seek the deferral.
Hi, it's Melanie Schirsler. So I am at. Yep. I just want to say I'm supportive of the deferral, and as somebody who lives across the street, I learned about this by mail the second week in November.
Oh.
Yes. Is that better?
No.
No, we support the deferral.
I'm still here, yeah. They are, in fact, they've agreed to chair a meeting with the residents, another meeting, yeah.
Madam Chair, based on, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lisa. Based on what we've heard, it sounds like there's very good will on both sides to try and come to a compromise. And on that basis, I would recommend that and move that we defer this application to allow for community consultation and possible revisions to the variances that are requested. Is there not a request for deferral as well?
Yes, Pedro Pimentel, I'm the architect representing the owner, Madam Chair and committee members. So we have, yes, so based on the letter that we received on November 10th from the committee planning and asking for refusal, I advise the client to ask for a deferral. And also I really seek support from the council and the bylaw regarding the deferral as well, so which I received a letter on November 17. I know it's late, but also regarding the community comments. Yes, so there was, so the owner spoke with the community planning, so maybe just I can explain what happened here. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello? Okay.
hear? Hello, can you hear? Can you hear now? Okay, can you call this number? Can you call this number? Can you call the number, please? Oh, okay, okay. So are you calling the cell phone? 416? No, sorry, it has to be the cell number. Sorry, 416. Oh, okay, I'll try the. Yes. Yes, no, he is okay too. He is okay. Thank you. Okay, no problem. Hello?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Now it's fit.
Now it's fit.
Just a second.
Just a second. I'm going to try to try the problem.
Yeah, no, I'm here, but there's a feedback. Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah.
I turn everything off now on the computer. Is it better now? Better now? Okay. All right. Okay. I cannot hear anybody, but no, it's fine. Okay. So sorry. So yes. So basically, what the situation was is the communication between the owner and the community planning was in regard to some revised drawings that the planner agree on that. But then there was some misunderstanding from the owner's part, and then he expected the planning will accept the proposal as presented, and that's why we proceed with the application as presented. But as a principal, my role is to satisfy community planning and city council, and I think the revised proposal will change in a few items on the variances, and will make the proposal much nicer and much more appealing to the neighborhood, and that's why I request deferral. Yes, I was not aware that the owner. Sorry, I cannot hear you. Yeah, the planning report was initially as not supporting, but as I said, the owner, after talking with the planner, he expected that the communication was not against or in the refusal. But on the morning of November 10, we received a letter from the community planning asking for a refusal, and that's why I suggest the owner to defer in order to the revised drawings, according to the community planning, will be addressed with a revised zoning notice. That will revise a couple items on the landscape and the 45-degree plane, and it will be more in keeping with the community planning approval. Yes, yes.
Madam Chairman, the planning report tends to say exactly what the Deputy Secretary Treasurer said, that the community planning had concerns and they reiterated the concerns to the applicant, or they spoke to the applicant about them. And the applicant decided he wanted to go ahead notwithstanding their concerns. And then, so not unsurprisingly, the planning department has recommended against the application. My question would be the same one I had on the last application. Is a deferral going to accomplish anything? If it's going to result in major changes to the variances, possibly, although that could have been done before this meeting. I don't have a lot of support for the deferral in this case. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't fully understand from the applicant the timeline with this. You know, when he found out that city planning was not supportive. I mean, I get the fact now that the applicant is willing to make changes, and that seems like that's you know, that's a real intent, but I don't know. I'm torn on this one too. But I would like to hear from the applicant just a little more clarification around the timeline.
Well, and just to weigh in, I note here that they've already did revised plans and community planning was satisfied. So why didn't they proceed on those plans? I'm confused as well. So. Was it a misunderstanding on the applicant's part that they had to file revised plans? It seemed clear in the materials that's what was required, but I don't understand.
Surprise.
I don't know. I honestly, but I think it's been pretty clear from staff's response that yeah, the advice was given and not followed. So I guess that puts us in a hearing position. All right.
Why were revised plans filed? But anyway, I maybe they changed their mind. I don't know. Well, planning reviewed revised plans. Like what the heck? Okay, that's a good idea. That helps. Thank you.
Maybe we just give the applicant one final chance to kind of clarify their perspective on this, because I think we have a good sense from staff side.
Yes, so just to clarify, we submit revised drawings that the planner, Cecilia Wong, was in favor. And then when we tried to submit those drawings to the committee, we were told that they could not be submitted. The plans need to be recirculated, and we're going to go back to the back of the line, and the owner was already waiting for a full year. The owner was already started this process in January, and he waited 11 months to get his hearing. So the frustration was from the part of the owner, but the drawings are done. The whole process is done.
When were they submitted? These revised drawings? Is that recent?
October the 23rd. And then we were expecting that the drawings were allowed to be put it on file. It's a clarification on the 45-degree angle. The variance in the back will be maintained. So, but we would like to satisfy community planning. And I do not understood why these drawings were not accepted as a clarification to community planning. So the frustration came from that point.
That's confusing.
We have the drawings completed, so the drawings just need to be resubmitted for a zoning notice. The landscape is going to be reduced in the back and in the front, but the other variants will be the same. The variance number 7, it will be deleted. But so I think it's a better proposal if we come back with a revised drawings that we already submitted. I can answer any other questions if you have, but I think I always try to agree with community planning and the council, and they have a better proposal that meets all the requirements. So that's the reason why I asked for a deferral. It will be devastating for the owner because he's going to wait.
I'm always reluctant to give support deferrals, but I mean, this one sounds complicated. It is complicated, but I think it sounds like they're on track towards getting to a better design, and a design that actually would be maybe supported by community planning. So yeah, I mean, I would support a deferral, I guess.
I agree 100%. I mean, I don't know why this one seems like such a hard decision, but anyway, I think I would be supportive of a deferral simply because it sounds like they are close to conceding to what community planning is requesting. So I think it needs to be clear that this is a sort of a one-shot deferral, and that efforts need to be made to come to the table and meet, talk to community planning to figure out what needs to be done here. So I'll support the deferral in this case.
Madam Chairman, I would also support it now that we've got all this information on the table. It sounds like a very confusing situation and a lot of misunderstanding. I would encourage the applicant to listen to the comments that the Secretary Treasurer made about the delay that he's now going to face versus the one that he would have had he responded immediately to planning. But hey, if a deferral will get this thing resolved, I'd support it.
I'll do it. I move to move a motion that the application be deferred subject to the recirculation fees.
To say something. Mr. Malik? Hello? Yes, this is Lawrence Malik. I'm my name is Lawrence Malik. I'm with SG&M Architects. And I'm actually here, sorry, go ahead. Oh, go ahead. And I wanted to explain that I'm here with my colleague, John Hinrichs. Unfortunately, I had dental surgery this morning. I can't talk for very long. So I'm having him sort of talking along with me because I have an inability to talk for long. But okay, all right.
All right, so we cannot with text sensible, so
no. The one objector from 97 indicated that she didn't have any objections to the application, but she recommended that any approval be tied to submitted drawings. Maybe you could just nod your head. Would tying an approval to submitted drawings create any problems for you?
No. No.
Mention the one drawing that's coming out.
There, what happened is, if I may, there was one drawing in the very last set. A A32 was an orphan drawing. It shouldn't have been part of the package. We're only doing a one-story addition. It was the intention. The site plan drawing, there's a floor plan drawing. The proposed addition at back shows a roof plan as being one story. The elevations and section all show one story. So there's no intentions to build more than one story addition to the back.
Well, because she didn't have any objection, I don't know what it is. I'm not 100% sure what it is we're trying to protect. I would be inclined to say if it was approval was tied to the site plan and the elevations, I think that those are probably the drawings that impact 97 the most.
Yes.
Madam Chairman, I think this is a reasonable proposal. I didn't have any difficulties with the variances before us. I'm cognizant of the concern of 97, and therefore, unless my colleagues have any questions, I'd like to move approval of the application subject to construction being undertaken in accordance with the site plan and the elevation drawings that were submitted to us.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Marin Zabzuni. I am the agent on 215 Ava Road. Thank you. So we are proposing a 3-story new home, and we've worked closely with planning and PRCA staff on this application. We had more variances initially, but we had made changes and reduced before coming to the committee with this latest set of drawings and variances. So to go briefly over the variances, starting with item number 1 and 2, which speaks to the side yard setback on the porch and wall. The existing setback is currently 0.42 meters where the existing home is located, and we're improving the setback to 0.6 meters for the proposed home. We comply on the other side. For the item number 3, building length, part of the first floor is jogged in, and the second floor length is proposed to have enough space for the homeowner's needs. The third floor resides within the roof and is a lot shorter in length, both at the front and rear portion of the walls, so it's set back to reduce massing. In regards to item number 4 that speaks to FSI, the home has been designed to look like a 2-story dwelling. So the third floor is within the roof envelope. We have that slope on both front and rear, and this reduces the massing and impact on the street. So the homeowners require enough outdoor space for the rear deck as well. That was one of the minor variances. We comply with rear landscaping. And the rear deck is very close to the finished grade. So this variance on item number 5, I believe, provides very little to no impact. It's quite minor. So as I said, we have worked closely with city planning. 3-story homes are permitted in this zone. We're not asking for a building height variance. Homeowners are both working from home and raising 3 kids, so the space is imperative for their needs. We believe the proposed dwelling is in keeping with a constant development in the neighborhood. In regards to the discrepancy on the letter of objection and support of 213 Ava Road, the immediate neighbor, they had initial concerns with the application. However, the owners had correspondence with them, explained what we're proposing, and now they're in support. They worked it out. So, and the owner has also spoken to several neighbors in the neighborhood to gain the support. It's a dear application to them, and we've been waiting for this. We believe it's in keeping with the neighborhood, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Oh, hi there. It's just Kim Merker. Sure. My name's Kim Merker. We live at 217 Ava Road. So I actually wasn't prepared for this. I didn't realize I was speaking, but we did not sign the letter of support. We just wanted to overhear the committee and what everyone else had to say in regards to the plans. And I think our own, yeah, I think that's really it. We'll just hear everyone else out. No, I have no concerns.
Yeah. Can you explain the relationship between this house and the one that's to the right of it? Or I'm not sure if that's north or west. I'm a bit turned around now, but that's. It seems like yours is going to be a story taller than that. Is that correct?
Are you speaking to 217 Ava Road? On the right side, looking at the front?
That's right.
So, well, that one is a 2-story. Ours is approximately very similar building length, and the 3rd floor is within the roof. Even if we didn't have a 3rd story, the massing would be the same. We're not asking for a building height variance. 3rd floor is very small. If you see the drawings, it's encompassed into the building roof design. So, with that respect, I don't think provides any negative impact, especially at that setback on both homes being about 4 feet away each to the property line.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. But and I'm looking at the other. You've put in a lot of examples of similar types of houses that have gone up recently in the neighborhood, and a lot of them look to be this kind of like 2.5. What the garage plus 2, and you have the garage plus 3, and yes, I get that the roof contains the 3rd story, but are there other houses in the immediate area that do have 3 stories plus the kind of almost half level of garage.
For the slope here for the garage, we actually are cutting into the grade with a retaining wall so that we're sunken further into the house, into the lot. That way, that reduces further massing. We were fortunate with this lot that was higher than most lots where it's usually flat. So we're actually able to sink in the house further. That way, it reduces the impact on what you were explaining. And there's other homes in the area. If you take a drive by, you'll see that it's definitely in keeping with the development in the area.
Okay, thanks. I'll start just with a couple comments. I think this is larger than most new builds in the area, and not that that's necessarily bad in itself, and I think there has been an effort to kind of hide that 3rd floor massing. Yeah, it is stepped back quite a significant distance from the front and the back, and I think that the point that it is a sloped site and this construction is kind of cutting into that slope, I think that will go to lessening the impact to a certain extent. I'm still undecided on this one. It feels big.
My first instinct was to figure out how many stories it was, because it looks like a 4-story, notwithstanding the fact that the garage is sunken. I understand that. And there's not a height variance, but I feel like the FSI as a result of that is quite high. I didn't see any numbers. I mean, I know we have comparables in terms of photos of houses in terms of height and, just general building style, but I didn't see any numbers to support FSIs that high, unless I missed that. So I feel this is going to be larger than what I already felt were larger buildings on the street compared to the original dwellings that were existing. So I am hesitant to support this application myself.
It'll come as no surprise that I have trouble with the application as well. It's very similar to an earlier one we had where there was a building that, in my view, was out of keeping because it was too tall. I think the difficult situation with integral garages is they tend to add a whole floor to the height of the building and make it look much larger. I appreciate that there's been some effort to camouflage the 3rd floor by tucking it within a sloped roof. And I really don't understand what the objective of showing us 224 and 226 was, but on balance, I don't think I can support this application.
Unless anybody else any further comments, I am going to bring a motion forward for refusal of the application. As I previously stated, I feel this is larger than what is already existing for new builds on the street, and I have concerns about the FSI in this case. So I'm not supportive of the application, and my motion is for refusal.
Yes, it's Stephen King, architect. I'm the agent for the owner.
I just had a question about the parking. Is there on-street parking? I believe there is. Is that correct in this neighborhood?
Yeah,
permit parking, and there's permits are available for this area? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So variance number 3 is an existing condition, is that correct?
Yes, we're not changing the landscaping. It says constructed. It's a 1927 building originally.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I'm prepared to bring a motion forward for this one. We have seen these types of applications before, and sometimes they generate objections. And in this case, there are none. People often will say there's parking issues, but given that we've heard there is parking available on street, I know the area, and there is TTC close by on Queen Street, I would like to bring a motion forward for approval. This is all within the existing building envelope, and the only issue I had originally was parking, but I'm satisfied that that will not be an issue in this case. So the motion is for approval without any condition.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Mahir Manis, I'm the agent for the owner.
I'm happy to bring forward a motion. I think that this is a very large addition, but it's a very small house to begin with, and I think the addition that they're putting on really kind of brings it more into scale with what's in the neighborhood, and it's a reasonable proposal that I don't think has negative impacts on the neighbors. So I move to approve this application with no conditions.
Good afternoon. This is Matei Rao. I'm the agent for the owner at 18 Fenwick Avenue.
I don't have any questions, Madam Chair, but I'm happy to make some comments in this one if and nobody else has any questions. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay, I was just looking quickly through the supporting materials to refresh my memory, but I was looking at in particular, the variance for floor space index, and the agent has nicely provided us some materials that support that there, yes, I know this area very well, and yes, there are approved FSIs in greater than, in some cases, than what is being asked for in this case. So I think this fits in well with what is currently happening on either side. The addition, I don't think will have any significant impact on either the neighbors. And in fact, there is a letter of support from, I believe, one FENWICK. So I'm in support of this application. I think it does meet the 4 tests, and I'd like to bring a motion forward for approval. And it should be subject to the planning report that it be built substantially in accordance with the plans that they have laid out in their memo to mitigate to maintain the mitigating features that help temper some of the variances asked for wall height, and also in urban forestry number
2.
Two, thank you. I can't find it in my notes, but I have a note here. So urban forestry number 2, thank you.
Hello, it's Maxine Shabsov, agent for the owner.
No. Madam Chairman, I think this is a desirable application. As I understand it, it's replacing an uninhabitable portion of an existing building. The proposal is an asset compared to existing conditions. I can't see there being a negative implication to the neighbors or the community, and I'd like to move approval with no conditions.
Jonathan Benskowski. Yes, in terms of the parking, you know, regardless of the parking proposal were to put forward, there would require some sort of a variance. That would either be for an integral garage on a existing lot with a frontage below 7.6 meters, or a front pad parking, which is proposed before you today, or if we were to propose 0 parking, that would again be a variance. So in terms of the request for a curb cut, a couple of important things to look at is the proposal is to park the entire vehicle on the property. There is no vehicle parked on any portion of the boulevard. It will all be within the property itself. I also like to note that there is no report from transportation addressing the proposed front pad parking or right-of-way management. And lastly, in terms of the elimination of a parking spot, even if we were to apply for a parking permit on the street, that would essentially function as the same as eliminating a parking spot by taking up an additional spot on the street. So this isn't a situation that does exist on the street itself. This isn't an introduction of a built form or an entity that isn't there already. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Sorry, I missed the last thing you just said about the variance for zero parking. You said it's not actually something that was on the public hearing notice? Oh, of course. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Other two are removed. Is that what you said? Okay.
I'm having the same problem, Anita. I can't hear you either. Is it 6 and
Just
1
cutting out.
coming out? Okay, they're not there then. Okay.
Yeah, we've actually provided an updated zoning notice with that to the committee. Oh, then I would ask that they're eliminated, variance 6 and number 1. Oh, I see on the public notice there itself. Yes, we would have variances 6 under 569/2013 eliminated, as well as variance 1 under 438-86.
I have one question. Mr. Brankowski, could you, do you have the opposition letter from from 236 in front of you?
I do. Just bear with me. I have so many opened here, of course. Yes, I'm there.
Okay, I'm concerned with the position that this homeowner has taken, which is they've been subject to a lot of water damage, and they're looking to correct that. And as I understand the objection, they feel that the proposal you have before the committee will prevent them from repairing the damage to their property. But it looks to me, I'm just checking if I've got this correct, it looks to me as though your proposal has a 0.45 meter setback from the property line with 236. Have you had discussions with them about what setback they think is appropriate in order to provide for the water, dealing with the water issue? Because I think the point they've made is really serious, and I would like to see us be supportive of them correcting the situation.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. As you mentioned, we're offering 0.45, which is well in excess of the 22 to 24 inches. Sorry, it's around the 22 to 24 inches they would require to repair. We would have no issue with them doing their waterproofing if you deemed this to be approved at the same time as the demolition of our property. It would actually be most likely cost beneficial for them also, because once we dig, there'll be an easier portion for them to underpin with the tightly packed neighborhood that it's in. So we would have no issue. I don't know how that's something we could deal with in a decision if you do deem this to be approved, but we would have no issue doing anything to help them waterproof their property.
So although it wouldn't be a condition, I'm just asking, might it be appropriate for you to, should you get approval today, contact them and work out some kind of a schedule so that their waterproofing can go forward?
Absolutely. Of course, sir, as quick as something can be approved as somebody would like to start construction. So I think as quickly as we were able to get started, we would have no issue coordinating any type of work with that adjacent neighbor at 236.
Okay, thank you.
I was just looking at the planning memo just to refresh my memory. Is there going to be a removal of a city-owned tree? Is that the case, Mr. Bankowski?
The city removed tree is 0.05 centimeters, and as you can see from the forestry report, they don't have any issue. Yes, so it's essentially a small city-owned tree.
I'll start off. I don't really have any concerns with the house as it's proposed, but my main problem, my only problem, but it's significant, is the front yard parking. I don't support that. It's going to remove at least one space from the street, and yeah, for that reason, I'm not supporting the application. I would have supported the application if it had just asked for the variance for zero parking. But because they're going in this way, I won't support it.
I agree with your comments, Peter. I have the same issue. Is the front yard parking pad? I don't think that's the predominant character on the street to have those kind of front yard parking pads, and it's not permitted. So I'm not in favor of the parking pad itself. I don't have any issues with the built form of the proposal. It's the parking that is a concern for me.
I agree. Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted me to weigh in as well. I agree. I know this area very well. Front parking pads are not the norm. I don't want to be part of bringing them into the street. And as Peter said, and quite rightly so, it removes a space from the street. The question I have, is it possible to just not approve variance number 5 and approve the remainder? And maybe that's the portion that the Secretary Treasurer was explaining when it was cutting out and I didn't get. So I'm not supportive of the parking pad either, but I don't have a problem with the rest of the application. Yes, is it appropriate? Can we approve variances 1 to 4 and just not approve variance number 5? So then that you're okay, fine. So that was Mr. Reed's point, and he's recommending that we refuse the entire application. Now I understand. Thank you.
I just want to be sure though, even I understand what we're all saying, but the variance is listed, right? So did that go out like number 6. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, then I'll go ahead and move a motion to deny the application on the sole basis of the front yard parking pad.
That'd be good. Thank you.
Hello? Yes? I've been on, both phones have been beside, both of my phones have been beside me, and I've been online, and nobody called. The phone did not ring. Yes, it's my husband, and this is his phone, and he's been sitting beside me the whole time. He actually stepped away from his surgeries to be there. Right, but you're calling on his phone right now, and he's sitting right beside me, and we've been waiting online, and the phone never rang. And we had okay. I was sitting here and I heard it, but I was waiting for somebody to call, and it even shows on our computer that my name is there, waiting to be in attendance. And I was never unmuted. Well, okay. Yes, I would. I mean, my husband and I own the property at 97 Hazelton Avenue, which shares the driveway, the common driveway with 99 Hazelton Avenue. We approached Ms. Harvey to discuss the variances requested to satisfy our concerns, but she failed to do so. So we're really private people, and we wanted to know that the one-story extension in the rear of her property doesn't have windows that look onto our backyard or the rear of our house for privacy reasons. Her extension by far is the longest of anyone in the neighborhood. And we were requesting that the one-story rear addition ties into the plans, and it's not going to have a second floor since there are no properties in our area that extend even close to that length. We wanted to ensure also that 99 Hazelton Avenue remains a single-family dwelling, and it's not converted into a multi-unit dwelling, because we're very concerned that our intentions are to make 99 Hazelton Avenue some kind of multiple unit building, either for purchase or rental or even used as a boutique hotel, because she's done this before with other private properties in the downtown core. As it stands, we share a narrow driveway, and it would create tremendous hardship for us if it would be a multi-unit dwelling sharing our common driveway. And furthermore, I believe the architect, he was kind enough to call us yesterday, and he said there was a page on the application that was an error that suggests there's a second floor, but we don't know why he didn't remove it. He said he was going to remove it. Mm-hmm. But is it going to be a single family dwelling? Well, so the thing is, are they going to remove the windows that are facing our property for privacy? There are windows on the side of that extension that face our property and literally look into our property from the middle of the backyard. It's the wall that faces the driveway, faces south. Yes. You see there's windows that face our property. No, that's part of her extension. Yes. So you see where the driveway, you see where the door is to the right? No, the other side, to the side door. There's a window there. And then if you see the garage, then you can see her extension, behind her extension of her garage. That's her extension. There's windows all along that side. You can see there's a couple of arrows. Yes, on the side, not that area. The other to the side, to the left. She has windows all around. No, that's existing. There's ones on the side of the property, side of her extension. On her 1-floor extension, there are windows that the architect. Yes. They're seeing their skylights. We just don't want any windows facing the rear of our home. We have a terrace and we have windows, and you know, those windows, even though you're saying that, they're halfway down our backyard. They need to be opaque. No, the addition goes it goes continuous with their garage. So when they're sitting in that back room, they can look into our backyard. So if those, and the rear of our house, so if they opaque them, that's fine. But if they're clear glass, that's not fine. They can put a film on them just to opaque them, and they still get their light in. We're doing that on our property for her. So if somebody's in there, and that goes right to the end of her garage, they can literally go look into our backyard and into our bedroom.
Not really. I just wanted to confirm that, I mean, those narrow windows start over 7 feet from the finished floor. So they're, as Anita said before, someone would have to actively stand on a chair to look out those windows. And even with the angle, they'd be seeing mostly the garage rooftop. So I don't see why that.
Our backyard drops down there. So she's literally going to be able to look into our backyard. I mean, we just want it to be private. So I don't think we're requesting so much as to put opaque on those windows rather than keeping them clear glass.
Could I clarify that we're talking about, could somebody put the south elevation up? Okay, it's that little strip of windows above the garage. Is that correct? That's
Yes. Yes.
okay. Now, as Mr. Reed indicated, that's set back from the edge of the garage, the width of the garage, and they're about 7 feet in the air. The only way that anyone could see your garden from those windows would be to stand on a ladder inside the house. And even then, the primary view they would get would be the roof of the garage.
Oh yeah, the skylights are, yeah, they're fine. I have no issue with the skylights. Okay. Well, on the drawings that we got, she had skylights all around. I mean, she had windows all around, transoms all around that structure.
And through you, Madam Chair, Madam Chair, we tied our approval as well to the drawings that you have on the screen right now. So if there are other drawings,
removed them.
Okay, but the drawings that you've got in front of you, the ones that are being projected on your computer now, those are part of the committee's approval.
Okay. All right. So those are tied into the plans, right? Okay. All right. That's fine, because that's not what we were received. We had spoken to the architect, and that's not exactly the drawings we had. So that was our concern. No, it's just it's just that she's had made other private homes as hotels, and we were just concerned that it's a heritage area, and we didn't want. Okay. Okay. No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for reaching out to us. I appreciate it. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair. It's Martin Rendell.
Just a clarification, variance, Mr. Rendell, variance number 2 that's before us is no longer being requested. Is that correct?
That's right, Mr. Nipfel. We've put in a bicycle parking space. However, the notice had already been issued. So yes, I'm withdrawing variance number 2.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, I would argue that this is a very minor application. I don't see there being a difficulty with approving it. I don't think there's a negative impact in the community. And I think that there is an advantage to the community in having more housing, and this provides an additional suite. I would move approval of the application with, let me see, with no conditions. Oh, I'm sorry. Move approval of the amended application without condition, amended so that variance number 2 is removed.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jason Park of Divine Park LLP, for counsel for the applicant landowner. Opposition.
If you are satisfied with your message, press.
Yes. Sure. Sure.
No.
Yes. Yes. Are you hearing? You're hearing me, Madam Chair? Yes. I have to, because initially when it was made known to me, I was not the person who presented me the matter. Did not make it clear what exactly they were doing, since I was a tenant close by. But having looked at it, and I've gone through the drawings, etc., and I see no reason to not support the move. I think it's all in keeping with standard issues that come on, because being me from an engineering standpoint, I see that even the heights are still within reasonable limits. It doesn't create any particular issue from a visual standpoint. So I just wanted to at least support it, rather than, since it came to me more as an objection, right? No, Madam Chair, no. As I said, I have all the drawings. We've looked them over. My engineers have looked them over, and we are quite happy. Yeah.
I have just one question of the applicant. Councillor Cressy's letter to us indicates, actually it's a report recommending to community council that we permit applications for minor variance with respect to this property. That was approved, was it?
That motion was approved, and that's what allowed this application to move forward within the
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
put forward a motion. I think we see these often with developing plans of large projects, that things shift along the way as the designs get refined, and that's all that we're seeing here today, and city planning confirms that. So I move to approve the application subject to the comments of city planning, that the plans be tied to the approval. The plans received October 21st.
It's Thomas Welsman. I'm the agent for the owner. Yes, okay. My client is, this is his family home, and his mother, the owner, still lives there. The plan is to sever the existing lot into 3 lots, build 2 semis, and have his mother move into one and he into the other while they renovate the existing house so they can move back in. There are no changes to the GFA or massing of 317 to maintain the existing character of the Westlake Avenue. The new semis footprints established by using the required zoning front and side yards. The rear yard's been established using an 11-meter separation between the dwellings, which is based on the zoning bylaw that we use for multi-unit residential buildings, typically condominiums, which is adequate for privacy, typically. The resulting footprint there is relatively small, only 588 square feet. The ground floor being taken up largely by the garage, stairs, and main hall. So it's a slab on grade building. We've decided to put the main living on the 2nd and 3rd floors. It still only results in a gross floor area of about 540 square feet. There's no impact to the reduced rear yards to the adjacent houses because 315 is a through lot house where we only face a side yard. 319, the rear yards are less than 6 meters apart, the facing buildings. We've been working extensively with planning and community planning for almost a year to establish a design that fits within the city official plan and guidelines. We have the support of both community planning and engineering, and no conditions have been recommended. Part of this process has been to assure a good balance of soft landscaping, which includes keeping 2 mature spruce trees on Westlake Crescent. The resulting height, even though we're 3 stories, means we're almost the same height as the existing building at 317, only marginally taller than the property to the north, which was just approved over a year ago and just recently built, and very similar to the 2.5-story building next door because their ground floor is over 6 feet off above grade. So we're very much in keeping with the character of the development that's been going on adjacent to us. And that's all I have to say.
Patio, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? Certainly. My name is Louis Bettio, Bettio. I live at 315 Westlake Avenue. And sorry, was there any other information you required? Okay, well, first, I'd like to commend the council because I've never experienced anything like this before. And the fact that you guys have the stamina to do this all day is certainly commendable. I mean that sincerely. So thank you for doing what you're doing. I share the immediate property line with the owners of 317 Westlake, and I've known them for 17 years, since I moved here in 2003. And one of the things that really appealed to me when I moved here was the fact my home is the exact same configuration that the ownership is proposing to do with the severance of their lots. For me, it was a dream come true buying this home because for me, it's almost like an executive home. The backyard is large enough to entertain, but I don't have to spend 3 hours a weekend maintaining my property. So having executive style homes in this neighborhood is a wonderful addition to the community. And again, the size, I looked at the variances that they were asking for. I spoke to the ownership. In my mind, they're minor. So I'm not disturbed by them at all. I'm actually more comforted now, having had a chance to review the drawings, the proposal, the designs. So I'm quite comfortable with that. No issue with the variances. And what I really like about what they're proposing is the existing house at 317 is going to stay as is with the renovations, I understand, happening primarily indoors. And that will, for me, that maintains the integrity and the character of the street, as opposed to 319 and 321, where now we have driveways along the street where we once had beautiful fascias. So that creates a compromise in integrity for me personally. And I think overall, when this is done, it's going to add value, not just aesthetically, but also just even in terms of monetarily for everybody in the community, because I know the ownership and I sincerely believe that they're going to create something that's going to be very nice for the neighborhood, as opposed to other things that have transpired over the years. So I welcome their proposal and I welcome their addition. Do you have any questions?
Hello? Are we on 317 Westlake Avenue now? Oh, okay. My name is Julie Wilmot, and my address is 7 Westlake Crescent, and that is okay. All right, so my concerns are that this is a street with some handicapped people on it who have lived there all their lives. I have one old lady across the street on Westlake Crescent who lives with her son there. There's Ingrid who lives pretty well across the street from one of the new developments, and she grew up on the street, and her mother is still alive and is 90 years old and is still mobile and is living with her. And there's also, now I'm not sure because I didn't get much time to investigate, there used to be a number of other older people on the street, and there's only one sidewalk on Westlake Crescent because the other side of Westlake Crescent has always been lawns with some garages. So recently there have been some developments that were opposed and they were redrafted so that the driveways are on Westlake Avenue. Mrs. O'Connor wants to have two semi-detached houses with driveways on Westlake Crescent, and this will involve the destruction of a wood, which does not appear in the drawings, and it should appear in the drawings. There are two mature spruce trees about the same height as the spruce tree on my lawn, and I would say that they date back from the building of her house, which would probably be, 1954 or 1955. And there are also two mature arborvitae which have been hacked at, but they're still alive, and they would be about the same age. And there is an existing parking pad there. So one house I would not object to, which would, if it was one house that was kind of long and thin at the back there, they could use that existing driveway and there would be no reason to cut down those majestic trees. And I note it's a very small crescent that I live on, and the actual street is very thin, which means that if you have a whole bunch of houses with hardly any yards, there's nowhere for them to put the snow when they're shoveling their driveway, and a lot of people, even at this time, are throwing their snow right on in the middle of the road, which makes a big hazard for people who have to get in and out. So for those reasons, right beside me, I have a nurse who is almost a senior. She's maybe 5 years. She's lived at her house for, I don't know if she's registered to speak. She said she was going to try to, but she's been living at her house for almost as long as I have, and I would say she's about 5 years younger than me. On the other side of me, I have a family with 3 kids. One of them's only a year old, and this is going to be a big inconvenience for them as well. So there's a lot, I would say there's probably a lot of people who will be inconvenienced by this because right now we have a fairly quiet street, but with the increased traffic and the increased development, we are having a number of difficulties with people coming in and breaking into cars. There's the person at okay, am I coming to the end of my 5 minutes? Okay, well, I have made written submissions. I support one severance. They want to make 3 severances. I would support. Yes, I would support. I would have, you know, if it was an acceptable design and it was, you know, use the existing, there is an existing parking pad and it was respectful of those trees, I would support one house. So one severance. And no, I'm opposed. I have also done written submissions, and they were accepted, and so, yeah. Yeah. So I've made written submissions. I think there are a number of people on the street who would have made submissions, but we did not have a great deal of time. And as I probably pointed out in my letter, I am, because of this pandemic, I'm kind of living half in the country, more than half in the country. So I didn't have a chance to really try and organize my neighbors. But I know that they were really very concerned about those other 2 developments, and then they were redrafted to satisfy the concerns about the increased traffic on Westlake Crescent. Okay, good, thanks.
Hi there, this is Sean March. Yes, I'm at 25 Westlake Crescent. Okay, thank you. So I want it to be known that I do have an open dialogue with Chris, the son of the current owner of the property, and he has been forthcoming with information about the development of the property, and we have discussed some of my concerns at length. But that said, I need to respond based on the submittal and the application I've received. And that's what my following statements are based on. When I look at the documentation, I see that the average lot depth in the broader neighborhood of 25 Westlake Crescent or Westlake Avenue, the average lot depth is about 30 meters. And on Westlake Crescent, it's even deeper due to ravine lots at over 40 meters. The existing lot at 317 Westlake Avenue is proposed to be reduced to 21.167 meters deep, and the new lots for Westlake Crescent will both be less than 20 meters deep. The lot widths that are being proposed for the new lots are 6 meters wide, whereas the average within the neighborhood is 7.6 meters wide. The average lot area in the broader neighborhood surrounding this development is over 230 square meters. And on Westlake Crescent, due to the ravine lots, they're even greater at over 300 square meters. For this development at 317 Westlake Avenue, they're proposing to reduce the existing lot to 188 square meters, and the new lots will be less than 140 square meters, significantly less than the average within the neighborhood. Variances on the existing yard, on the existing property, they want to reduce the rear yard setback and reduce the rear yard's soft landscaping to accommodate a parking pad. If you look at the plan, they want to park in the rear yard. For the new homes, each new lot area is smaller than the minimum required as identified in the notice I've received. That means each home is also exceeding the maximum lot coverage, it is exceeding the maximum building height, and exceeding the floor space index. They are also asking for a reduction in all setbacks. Now, I have spoken to Chris about these homes and the height specifically, and he has advised me that they are less than 50 centimeters taller than the adjacent homes. However, the application provided and the information provided does not clarify that for me, and I don't have an elevation or a plan showing me heights of the existing homes, so that cannot be verified based on this application. When I compare this to similar developments, which there have been 2 developing 4 houses in recent years, I look at the homes that are being proposed. Each of the 2 lots that were subdivided previously were converted into 2 lots, not 3 lots as proposed here. All of the homes, there are 4 new homes, all have a lot size over 315 square meters compared to 139 square meters as proposed here. All other homes are fully detached, not semi-detached as proposed here. All other homes have 2-car parking, not 1-car parking. All other homes are 3 plus 1 bedroom homes, not 2-bedroom homes. All other homes have 4 bathrooms, not 2 bathrooms. The other homes have basements, whereas this proposed development does not have a basement and is also a 3-story building. There are no 3-story buildings on Westlake Crescent. Now, the other homes were also severed and they remained through lots. The proposed development at 317 eliminates the through lot. It is my impression that by not digging a basement, the overall GFA of these homes is sort of inflated to give the appearance that they are more in keeping with the size of other homes in the neighborhood. I disagree. I believe these homes are significantly smaller, and I would not recall these estate homes or executive homes as previously stated by others. On Westlake Crescent, it is a 2-way traffic street, it is a very narrow street, and there's only a sidewalk on the opposite side. There is no sidewalk in front of the proposed development. There are already 4 new homes, and the plan in question at 317 is one of a potential 6, meaning there is a potential for another 16 new homes to be developed on Westlake Crescent. My concern is related not only to the scale of the development, but also the impact to the infrastructure of the neighborhood. The proposed lots are smaller than average for the neighborhood. The proposed homes are smaller than average for the neighborhood. And the proposed homes are too big for the lots. That says something to me. This proposal does not maintain the unique characteristics of through lots, and the development is not in keeping with the neighborhood. That is my statement.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Yes, that is correct. Down towards the east end of the street, there are some semis. They are over 300 feet deep. They are massive ravine lots.
I have a question. I was trying to refresh my memory because I also went to see the area, and I've just Googled 18 and 20 Westlake Crescent, and unless the Google Maps are wrong, they show 3-story with integral garage semi-detached. I thought the applicant indicated that all the homes were single family and there were no semi-detached houses on Westlake Crescent. Is that doesn't seem to match with the Google images for the street.
18 and 20 Westlake Crescent. Those are the sort of the pinky colored brick homes.
Yeah, and they've got an integral garage and then 2 floors above them.
That is correct, but that is a sunken garage, and those were done in the 80s, back when this was still East York, not Toronto. Okay. That on the other side is 350.
Excuse me one second. Is that the adjacent? That's the gentleman that spoke first about doing a severance that was similar, where he kept his house on Westlake Avenue, and then he separated. These are the 2 that were built behind him, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And they're detached, Carl. I don't think they're semi. They're detached.
I was under the impression they actually were attached underground, but they look like they look as though they're single because there's a space. Yeah.
Those houses
Okay,
are
thank
not
you.
attached that we are looking at right now. 315 Westlake Avenue is on the other side of these. This original lot was significantly wider and deeper than the proposed at 317 Westlake Avenue.
Okay.
And
Thank
those
you.
houses, like I said, were done back before this was the city of Toronto. This was when it was East York.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I just have a follow-up question. I also, I visited the area, and I think these were the only two lots that were similar in nature to what is being proposed. Is that correct?
Based on my understanding, yes.
Okay. A lot of them are thorough lots, and the garages, varying on Crescent and the Avenue, depending on where you are. But I didn't find any others that were similar in size, except these two maybe. But
so
I think what you just said is that these two, 18 and I just lost it, but 18 and 20 or whatever, 20, they're similar size lots, or they are bigger, wider?
They're larger.
They're larger. Okay.
And again, those are all detached homes and not a semi. And the other developments that have previously occurred, so 319 Westlake Avenue was recently developed, and I believe it was about 321 Westlake Avenue was recently developed. They also tried for 3 homes, and they were also declined or rejected because the lots are not big enough to accommodate 3 homes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm here. Well, in the long-term plan for the properties had to do with what the owners want to do in terms of moving into the lots and redeveloping the existing house, which is in poor shape. I mean, the reason why our houses are smaller than the ones to the south, numbers 18 and 20, is because they have only 3 meter, 2 meter, and 4 meter deep rear yards, whereas we've got an 11 meter deep rear yard. We were comfortable with the smaller footprint and smaller houses in the neighborhood because there is a market for that size of house. We didn't want to load it up with a much larger house. The reason we're almost the same height as the houses at 18 and 20 is because they do have sunken driveways, which, as we all know, we're no longer allowed to have due to engineering requirements and zoning bylaws. So that's why we had slab on grade. If we were to have a basement, it would be mostly a ramp. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So that's why we decided to go up to 3 floors. Much simpler construction. I don't think the relevance of them being smaller or having fewer washrooms has any bearing on the zoning. You know, the issue of us having an additional driveway, we're not impacting parking because there is no parking on that side of the street. There is no sidewalk on that side of the street. So we're not affecting pedestrians or parking. Also, people keep saying we're removing the 2 mature trees, and I don't know why people think we're doing that, because the 2 trees are on the plan, and even on our application it states that we are not harming any trees. There's one on the northwest corner. Yes, on the northwest corner of the site plan. There's one there. and one there. So there's the two trees right there, and they're about 60 feet tall, and we have no intention of taking them out. Yeah,
Yeah,
there.
just spruce.
Yep. There's spruce trees. And they're mature and they're desirable. So I'm not sure where the rumor came from, but be assured we're not taking them out. We have consulted with traffic, and they're unable to provide us with any evidence to back up that there is traffic issues here. Or parking issues, because, you know, we did our homework on that. And then, like I say, the height is 20, you know, we're 20 inches higher than the house to the north, and about 4.5 feet higher than the house to the south. So I don't really see that as out of keeping. And we're only less than 20 inches higher than the bylaw requirement.
Sure, I'll start off. I think this is a strange situation, right? It's rare that we have these kind of flanking lots in the city, and it's interesting to just see the evolution of this neighborhood over time and the different kind of different styles and types of development that's happened. I understand the motivations of the applicant, and I think it makes sense. And I think we have to be aware that, you know, this kind of density is going to happen in the city, and I think managing it in a sensitive way is the important part. I think I'm in favor of the entire thing. I think that the two new homes on the two new lots are quite restrained, and I think that's good. It's leaving a lot more open space and you know, taking care of the green space and infiltration and that sort of thing. So that's where I am. I understand people don't want to see new houses where lawns were, but I think that this is being done quite sensitively and really is not out of keeping with what's there and what's, I mean, even just north of here, what was built a year ago.
I'll weigh in as well. I'm supportive of the application as well. I think it's an interesting proposal. It's retaining an existing house and adding two others. So as a mechanism for paying for the construction, I think that the properties are small, but they're not, I don't think, out of keeping with what's in the area. That's not, my impression is that they're not completely out of keeping with what's in the area. The one area that I'd like to comment on is the semi versus single. I'm not sure that if you had two singles on those two pieces of property, similar to the two houses that are immediately to the south, that would have any less visual impact. In fact, I would argue that the little sliver of land between the two properties, which makes them singles, is better used, applied to the two side yards of the home. So it doesn't bother me as well that these are semi-detached versus singles. I agree with Mr. Reed. I think that the solution is sensitive to the area, and I think that the the physical proposals are also sensitive to the areas. I'm supportive of the application.
I agree with the comments of both of my colleagues, and I find it thing I'm looking at them. One of the things I'm looking at the most is sort of the lot sizes, and the lot sizes are quite varied in this stretch because of the nature of the winding road, both Westlake Avenue and Crescent. So even trying to come up with a consistent lot pattern or size, I don't think there is one in this neighborhood. And I actually have to commend the applicant on not trying to jam in two giant monster homes on these lots, because that seems to be the trend that we often see. And I do think that putting in a modest size 2-bedroom semis works on these smaller lots. So my big concern was the lot patterning, and it is quite varied. I mean, this is a very deep, long lot that widens at the back on the Crescent, and I think dividing that and putting 2 modest semis on that portion of the lot is not out of keeping, or will cause too much of an impact in the neighborhood. So I'm in favor. I agree we need more housing in the city, and this is a gentle way to introduce two new houses. So I think it's a good thing.
Sure, I'm happy to put forward. Can we just do it all in one shot? Let you guys do the hard work. I put forward a motion to approve the consent and the minor variance applications subject to all of the urban forestry conditions. And yes, that's right.
Can I just, I wasn't clear on the forestry conditions because they're not correctly addressed. Are the forestry conditions, there's something forestry number 3 and it says ×3. Does that mean that applies to, for what does it apply to, the variances or the consent? Okay, so that applies to the variances, and then does 2 apply? Oh, to the consent. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Adi Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. Thank you. So as you can see, the objective is to sever a parcel of land into two. This has been, we have applied for this for several months now. We first came in with an application for a semi-detached, like 2 units semi-detached. And we were contacted by the planning. The planning asked us to actually change the design into 2 detached homes, we basically had to go through a lot to change it, change the design into 2 different houses, two separate houses, and also we changed the style from modern to classic. Edmund Avenue is basically the character of this street is a little bit different than Poplar Plains or Russell Hill. This lot is the adjacent lot on the west side, on the east side, is sort of similar application. 1 parcel of lots almost same size, split it to 2, actually smaller size, split it to 2, and after that towards east they're mostly like 4, 5, and 6-story multi-units. Opposite side of the road, there are multi-unit houses between 2 to 4 units. So what we're doing is very much in keeping with the character of Edmund Avenue. We thought at the beginning that 2 detached homes, semi-detached, would match better, but after we were contacted by the planning to change it to 2 separate detached homes, we basically accepted their comments, and that's why they have no comments now. And also we've seen the comments from the forestry, from the engineering roads, and I mean, there is no objection, and any condition that they have put forward is by all means acceptable to us. I have no further comments. If there is any question, I'd be more than glad to answer. No, actually, from 2 units. I mean, we proposed 2 units. It's still 2 units, but originally when we submitted the drawings, and it's actually a copy of that is online. It was these 2 units were semi-detached, and then the planning asked us to detach them completely. Well, no, 2 detached dwellings. Yes, that's the correct drawings you're showing now. That was the original intention, but we went through very lengthy coordination with the planning, and they actually made several comments which resulted into the revised drawing. So these units are narrower. Basically, their objective was to make the units narrower and make the side yards bigger, which we did.
Yeah.
The variances are correct, and yes, yes, it's two detached three-story dwellings. Yes. No.
Madam Chairman, on the submission, the covering letter refers to semi-detached as well, which is maybe where the problem came from. If you look at the covering letter from Arkesia, it says that the proposal is to, it says semi on there as well.
That's correct. That's correct. But as I explained further, after that, the planning contacted us. They wanted to see this change, and we did the change according to their basically request.
Oh, hi. Yep. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, Wendy Del Mal, and I'm at 4 Edmund Gate. Right. So I think that's added to my confusion now, and I don't feel that I'm in a position to properly address this, given that we were advised that what would be presented is different than what's actually being presented. I don't know if I'm looking at the correct plans any longer. And I guess the primary. Sorry, you're saying that what I'm looking at on the screen right now? Okay. Mm-hmm. So I guess my concerns are with respect to the variances that are being requested and reducing the setbacks in the manner that's set out in the materials. Because already the setbacks, if I look at the building that's currently on the lot, it is, I mean, there's very little space between it and the house to the south. So that would be 6 Edmund Gate. And it seems that they're planning on reducing that even further. Well, certainly the diversity of the housing stock on the street, I think, is important to the character of the street. And so proceeding with the severance, I don't think is ideal for the street itself. And the fact of severing it and putting 2 properties where one currently exists is obviously, I think, what's leading to the request for variances in the setbacks, because you're going to have, 2 homes at this point, whereas now there's just one, with a diminishment of the space on either side of those 2, I guess now not a semi, but the 2 individual homes, as you've clarified that it's not going to be 2 separate homes. I think the height, I mean, I guess it's just the residence that's on the property now is a very generous size, and I don't know why they can't accommodate, if they want a new building sort of within the present footprint. It seems that it's much more in keeping with what's on the street than what's being proposed. No. No.
Can I just confirm something, Madam Chair? I think people are saying they're 2-story detached, but they are 3 stories, right? Based on the plans, these are 3-story buildings?
No, the houses are 3 stories each.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm that they were 3.
Yeah, the 2-story was the original intention. Then the planning, based on the lengthy communication we had with them, they accepted to have a 3rd story in lieu of the floor space that we would be using, providing the side yard for these 2 homes. And they reviewed, they were fine with that. Yes, usually, I mean, to be honest, that cover letter was the I do understand, but let me explain. Number one is that usually for this kind of applications, we never even submit a cover letter. This was the insist of the person in charge that we should actually provide a cover letter. When we submitted that cover letter. Yes, we have the zoning review provided by the City Hall. That zoning. Yes, and then yes, of course. Subsequent to that, we filed all those information, the new information, new drawings, new zoning notices, everything that shows this is and says this is a 3-story building to Jacob, and he can confirm it. He's present over there, so he received this information from us, and he confirmed that it was adequate, and he actually circulated it again. So, other than that, if we should have done something else. I will just confirm it with you momentarily. Yes, I um that sure. Sure, I will be more careful about that in future, and I assure you that I'm no stranger to this kind of application. I actually should add that even the public hearing notices up until a few minutes ago weren't online. So I'm not handling whatever happens. That's I'm not controlling anything that happens on the administration side on the city hall, but you know, I'm sorry this has happened. I have done everything in my effort to submit proper documentation. I have done everything in my power to work with the planning, all other persons involved to basically do anything that is required to get to this hearing. If you think this documentation are not appropriate, you can defer it to a later date because obviously I don't want to jeopardize the outcome of this hearing. But I've done everything in my power to be as precise and as correct as I can be. Sure. Just Sure. I just answering your previous question. On 16th of September 2020, I submitted an email to Jacob Cockrell, and I mentioned that this application is changed, and I provided the new drawings, 3-story with the new notices. This is reviewed by the zoning department. We didn't submit a waiver, so everything is as accurate as it can be. I did that some 2 months ago. Yes.
Madam Chairman, the only question I have, and I'm comfortable, but mistakes get made. The only question I have is it likely that somebody reading that this proposal was 2 stories and semis would have said, well, okay, I don't think I'll object, but if they'd known it was 3 stories, would they have objected? That would be the only question. I doubt that anybody will object that it's singles instead of semis. The only question that I don't have an answer. The only question I would raise is whether or not somebody who would have objected to 3 stories and didn't because we said 2 stories. And I think that's the only issue we need to deal with. If we figure it was fair and the notice would have captured any objections, fine. The lady that did speak I didn't hear her say anything that the actual wording of the notice would have changed. Her concerns were other issues. Yeah, but the point being, her objections were different issues. If what she said was, well, you know, I'm concerned that it's 2 stories. I think it should be bungalows. Well, yeah, okay, then I'd be concerned that in fact it's 3 stories and she didn't know that. But I didn't hear that from her. Yeah. Yes, for sure. Mhm.
Yes. Sure. Yeah. It's acceptable to me. We waited a long time, but you know, I think it's necessary to come back to this hearing in it, to after all these errors are addressed. So I agree to that. Sure, I'm sure, and I assure you that I'm extremely competent with this, and I will do anything in my effort to make it as clean and as correct as possible. And I assure you that I have done that for the one that is before you as well. So I mean, I cannot control everything, but I can. Sure.
Yes, that sounds fine.
Hi. Yes, I am in agreement, but what I do find a little bit unusual is that we've had no dialogue or consultation with the developer. He hasn't reached out to us to kind of ask what the neighbors feel, or trying to work with us so we can reach a compromise pretty quickly and not waste the committee's time.
Yes, I am. I think I have adequate time to send these intention letters into City Hall by tomorrow. So Friday. Sure, of course, but the only address that I heard was number 4 Edmund Gate. I do not have the address or information for the other opposing.
My address is 185 Poplar Plains Road. We are to the west of this property, directly westward.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. But the date is fine. I'm fine with the date of December 10th.
But I think we should get it right as opposed to pushing it.
I think if I make any change as a result of talking to and communicating with the neighbors, then at a later date we have to defer it again. Sure. What would be the date then? Is it going to be still on? Okay, sure. So then, but would that be because I mean, it's absolutely fine by me. I just, you know, if it's going to result in waiting for several months, I prefer to keep it at December 10. But if it is like, I mean, it's going to be as the next. If that's of course, you know, if there are revisions, we just we would notify the city that there is revision, and we only confirm a hearing if there is any revision. I mean, if the revisions are done. Just if there is no revision, or let's say if there is any revision, I can if I can at least get the next hearing after that, like a few weeks after we're ready, then it's fine. But if knowing that my client is in a very, very critical timing situation, and since I cannot really make sure that the hearing is going to be when the hearing is going to be, if I don't take this. So if that's the case, then I would prefer to keep it at December 10 and keep the. Yes, that's fine, and I don't think if I have any other choice. Yes, then I keep the drawings with no change, and we can resume this hearing on December 10th. I will send the. Of course I will. Sure, I can call the neighbors tomorrow. If I mean I have email of Mr. Sack number I think 185 Poplar Plains. I do not have any contact information from number 4 Edmund Gate and number 6 Edmund. Sure. Sure. That sounds good.
I'll move the deferral with the fees.
Second it.